Hello everyone, this is Tom from Dirk Witte Music Store in Utrecht, the Netherlands. Today we're taking a look at a very cool and a very vibey vintage Gibson SG, which has been quite a while since we've had a very cool old SG. This one is from the 1970s, Norlin era being, and it is a 1974 SG Custom in its original walnut finish with tons of mojo. I think that we can all agree that this is by no means mint. Got nicks, dings and scratches and buckle wear all over. So this is just a rock and roll machine. And yeah, it has also had a couple of modifications, nothing too major. Also had a refret, but it is just in a very fantastic playing condition and it just looks super killer. So yeah, a really cool guitar, rock and roll machine right here. So let's dive into the specs. So Norlin era SG, the 1970s is commonly known as the Norlin era for Gibson, which is kind of infamous for it not being as great as the 1950s and 1960s, which does have some ground. And it also means that they had started like doing a couple of new things compared to the 1960s and the 1950s, which not everybody was a huge fan of. This SG, for example, also has a couple of those kind of quirky specs that you find in the Norlin era, but also some specs that have been kind of like restored, if you will, so that have been changed. Yeah, as for the specs, all mahogany construction, so we've got a mahogany body, obviously the super iconic SG body style. This is a what appears to be a two-piece body, which is actually a good thing to see because the Norlin era was also known to have some multi-piece bodies and tops, but this one gets a very nice two-piece top. So you see a seam line just going through the center, and that is the only line that you can find. Obviously it is done in a cool, very cool walnut finish, so kind of like a brown natural type of a color. You can see all of that awesome mahogany wood grain, especially there on the back. And obviously it features tons of mojo, so like I said, loads of nicks and dings, buckle wear over there on the back, scratches, but nothing too major fortunately, so no serious break, cracks or repairs, so that's always a good thing. SG Custom meaning that we've got 3 golden humbucker pickups, and these are original. So which then means that these are actually some tarback humbucker pickups, which they also did in the 1970s, early 1970s. They had kind of like reinvented like the construction of the humbucker, which would then feature like this. If you remove these and you look at the back of them, you can see a like a layer of black epoxy, kind of like a plastic layer on the back side of the humbucker pickups. That is why they are kind of like known as tarbacks. It's not actual tar because that would obviously be a problem, but they are yeah, like epoxied on the back, which is kind of like a interesting and unique type of a spec that you had not also that you only see in this era. Also means that if one of the coils dies, your whole pickup is dead, so that's kind of like unfortunate. But what is fortunate is that all of these are just in a perfect working condition, so that is a very good thing, and they sound really good. They do sound a little bit different from like the more PAF style humbucker, a little bit more snappy I would say, and a little bit more hi-fi, but like in a very good way, but also then in a little bit of a unique type of a way. Definitely yeah, kind of like its own thing, but still retaining those more classic humbucker tones that we all know and love. Also then got a golden tunematic bridge, which is a Nashville style bridge. I believe that this is non-original because if I look at 1974 SG Customs, they all came with harmonica bridges, which is like this more rectangular type of a bridge with loads of space for your intonation, for your saddles. But that is not the case on this one. anymore, as we can definitely tell. So I'm pretty sure that this has been changed at some time. It is definitely old, so it definitely does look the part as that it has been aged also very, very nicely along with the rest of the hardware. But then, yeah, again, do know that it has been changed. Got a golden Bixby, which is then Gibson branded. Not 100% sure if that's original, because you also got some screw holes over here at the strap button. So that does give me the impression that it may have had a different style of a Bixby at some point, or maybe like a trapeze style piece. I'm not 100% sure on that, but this one is accurate, this Bixby, and it is definitely old. You also then have that, like I said, that Gibson branding over there, kind of like in a unique style. You don't really see that logo anywhere else apart from the 1970s B5 Gibson Bixbys. But yeah, it is definitely very cool to see and very cool to have. And a lot of the SG customs from the time also came with this style of a Bixby. So it could very well be original, but then don't really understand these screw holes. But it is good to know. Obviously, you got your pick guard, black pick guard, multiply material on one side instead of the Batwing style of a pick guard. 3-way pickup selector switch and dual volume and dual tone control. It has been also slightly rewired, nothing all that crazy, but that does mean that like in the middle position, instead of having the middle and the bridge humbucker on at the same time, you get the neck and the middle humbucker on at the same time. And on top of that, you then also just have one volume control and one tone control. So it doesn't give you any blending options, unfortunately, but not 100% sure who did that or when that happened, but it is good to know that that has been done on this particular SG Custom. Got your input jack over here on the front. And your back cavity also features kind of a this hole over here. Not 100% sure what that hole is, and I'm also not 100% sure if it even is a hole, but it is definitely a big, like a big pit, you know, like a pothole. Don't really know what happened there, but it is good to know. Moving on to the neck, which is a 3-piece mahogany neck actually, which is, I believe, kind of like unique to this model, because a lot of necks on Gibsons at this time got maple necks. So yeah, but you do got a mahogany neck on this one, which is 3-piece. So you see 3 pieces over there running down the neck. And it features an ebony fingerboard, which is bound, and also that features these, obviously, mother of pearl block inlays. As for the profile, by the way, it's kind of like a medium to a little bit slimmer type of a C shape. Definitely just very comfortable and very easy to play. Quite fast feeling neck, so I'm guessing that this is good for like high gain shredding stuff. So that is very cool. And like I also said earlier, has had a refret, and these are probably jumbos, because these are some very large frets. And what has also been changed, actually has been changed just yesterday, the nut. This came with a non-original black nut, kind of like a, I'm guessing like a tusk or like a black new bone type of a nut, which was really not that great. It had also like these cardboard shims underneath them, or underneath it. And that was unacceptable for us, so we hand carved this bone nut that you see right now, and it is cut really, really well, really good string spacing, and yeah, also just looks the part. Also then got the volute obviously on the back there of the headstock. That is also very much Norlin era in style. No breaks, cracks or repairs, which is always very nice to see on vintage Gibsons. Also then on an SG. Also no breaks, cracks or repairs over here at the heel, because that also happens with SGs, but not with this one. So that is obviously a very good thing to see. Then headstock, the Gibson custom style headstock with the multiply binding, as well as the diamond mother of pearl inlays, as well as your logo done in mother of pearl, and your SG custom trussel cover. Also that pearl is nice and faded, because that headstock clear coat is nice and faded, so that looks incredibly vibey, looks very, very cool. And then the tuners over there on the back are original, the Grover Røde with the tulip buttons, obviously also done in gold. And then the last thing to mention, also comes with its original chainsaw hard shell case, so you really get like the full package with this one, the original package. So that is yeah, obviously a very, very cool thing to see. So yeah, that's all that there is to cover to this 1974 SG Custom. A rock and roll machine, like, looks super vibey. Yeah, and it also just sounds fantastic. Like these tarbacks, like I said, they do kind of like have their own thing going on. But they just sound really, really great. And yeah, obviously also very nice to have a newly installed bone nut over there. And yeah, just tons of mojo again. So very, very cool guitar. So let's hear what it sounds like. But first, if you're interested in this 1974 Gibson SG Custom in this original walnut finish, be sure to head over to the links in the description for further details. If you enjoyed this demo, be sure to like the video and to subscribe to the channel for more weekly demos of cool electric guitars like these, cool acoustics, bass guitars even, all of that really cool stuff. Also be sure to like us and follow us on our socials, Instagram, Facebook. Links are also in the description. With all that being said, let's hear what this 1974 Gibson SG Custom sounds like in its original walnut same finish. I'm going to be playing it through this Fender Pro Reverb from the late 1970s. First we'll be playing the clean tones, and then I'll be playing the dirty tones, for which I'll be using a non-horsey clone. So let's then move on to that part, and let's take this vintage 1974 SG Custom for a spin.
you.